missed because we weren't live yet. We are now about the social equity program. Let's revisit that discussion because even when we went to the break, I said we kind of drilled down on that. Let's lay out some specifics about that because I mentioned also that there are still a lot of illegal dispensaries that are still out there. The city initiated a program to first warn people, and then they cut off your lights. Now, what are you going to do? You can't run a candy store without electricity. You got medicine in there? Are you nuts? And so they didn't adhere to that. They'd go buy generators, and then they just got kicked in. And there are arrests being made of employees, because now that it's, if you're illegal, if you're illegally running a business, then
right,
your employees
you're part of the organization.
Right,
now.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's been employees that actually had to go and be incarcerated.
Exactly.
They were arrested at that place.
So let's end this madness. And I think the social equity program addresses that in the broadest way so that people don't need any excuses anymore as to, having an illegal business, whatever it might be. You can't sell gasoline illegal. Like I said, you can't even sell candy illegal. You must follow the rules, and the rules is licensing, protection of the for the public against anything you might distribute that might harm people. Come on, it makes sense, right? So let's talk about social equity.
Yeah, I totally agree. And this is my trumpet to sound. Again, I've been in the industry helping people get in for a number of years. I was part of that whole thing where the city attorney Fuhrer would send you a letter saying that, hey, we're going to shut you down, and then maybe the police will come a week or two later. And I've seen them have machines where they'll crack open the ATM, take the money out of that, take your weed, take your cash, etc. But it was like cat and mouse. People looked at it, and so maybe a week or two later, they open up down the street, or they just wait and then reopen, and be able to. Right, there was no real system to it, but I think all of that is ending in 2019. It's like the brother just mentioned. You had a chance to get in legally. You had a chance to apply. You had a job, and you still didn't do it. So now you're going to be locked out. I think a lot of, particularly in South Central, there's a lot of pop-up shops, and I think they're going to allow now until the retail process is over. And some say it's going to start in January. Some say as late as March. But you have to be in it to win it, right? And so if you're operating, here's a chance. Even if you got strikes on your record, even if you got other challenges, we can help you work around it. Y'all had Rick Ross on the show. Right after he was released, I helped him and his brother open up 3 shops legally. Right. And so the paperwork is key. Yeah, exactly. And so we help you do that, and then help you, assist you all the way until the conditional use process, etc. But the social equity program, there are 3 tiers. Tier 1 is either low income in California cannabis conviction, or low income in minimum 5 years cumulative residency in a disproportionately impacted area on the so-called war on drugs.
It's like a high area of incarceration or arrest.
High area of crime, right? All of this, and so.
Well, Brian, what do you mean by an area that is?
And this is their language. This
impacted by law enforcement,
right?
When it comes to cannabis,
the war on drugs, right? It was really a war on people of color, right? Those, like you said, have all these arrest records. Those are areas that were hard hit by the impact of drugs being really funneled into the inner city. And so those areas now, you have an opportunity to have ownership. And so all is not lost. Tier 2, either low income and minimum. And I'm reading straight from the City of Los Angeles website. Anyone can get this information. I've just been blessed to be able to have a little formal education and training to help people get through. And by the way, I'm a nonprofit. So I'm going to help you my fees are so dramatically lower than my competitors, so that, again, this is a labor of really helping people get in.
And access to that information can be availed at your website.
Now, I'm looking, right, actually, I'm working on my website, but I do barter. So if anyone out there has some skills, we can talk to me. Yeah, but my direct number is 323-369-3139. You can call, speak with me directly. And
say it one more again for those slow with the pen.
323-369-3139.
There we go.
And I'm Brian Victor.
Very good.
Yes.
Instagram account?
I'm not. I had it
Closer
like
to
I
that
said.
microphone there, Bob.
All right. No
Yeah, you can move
Instagram,
it.
ladies and gentlemen. All right.
That's all right. We're going to help him
so
out,
we'll get
Bob.
him on
Yeah,
that.
So
we're
speaking of
coming. We're
the war on
coming.
drugs,
Mhm.
we have an organization that's part of us, and they're called the LEAP organization. You heard of LEAP?
Mm-hmm.
Which is the Law Enforcement Action Partners.
Sure.
And these are like former retired judges, lawyers, police officers, sheriffs. You know, they all are for the whole movement of cannabis and to end the war on drugs and to legalize these drugs. You know,
Right.
because they're sick of all these running-ins and all this stuff that's just like a hamster wheel.
A lot
they
of
want to go home at night.
a
You know,
lot
and
of
see their
police
families.
officers have lost their
As
lives
I said, they
know,
want to go home and see their families at night. And
walking
not that
up
last
to a
moment.
car where someone who is
Under the
pinged out on
influence.
drugs panics as a weapon, and a simple you're high, get on about your way turns into police officer
Either killing
losing
them
his
or they're
life.
killing them. You
Right.
know?
Yep.
So Law Enforcement Action Partnership have been advocates on the Marijualogist since 2009. That was one of the first organizations
It
out
used to be against prohibition. Law
Yeah.
enforcement's against
Yeah,
prohibition. Then they
that's right.
changed it to Law Enforcement
and
Action
it's
Partners.
basically cops and,
Yeah.
and prosecutors and
judges.
judges and
Yeah.
CIA.
We've interviewed them.
and
They all been on our
DEA,
show. You know,
Yeah, a
penologists.
lot of people are waking up to it.
Yeah.
It's even showing promise.
Well, they woke now, Brian.
Relative
man.
to helping those with cancer. We already know it helped AIDS victims that may be suffering from fasting to actually get an
Wasting
appetite,
disease.
wasting, I should say. I'm
Yeah.
sorry,
Yeah.
wasting disease, and so it's just so many effects, both medical as well as just folks with ADHD. Attention deficit disorder.
fibromyalgia. We can go on and on.
Yep.
Tinnitus, Crohn's disease. I can just keep going.
Brian, tying back to this, so why wouldn't anybody choose to go this route?
I think what we touched on a little bit about the break, people are afraid. They're skeptical. I even wondered about, I have clients in Humboldt. I had a chance to travel up there a few times to meet with farmers that realized if they didn't get incorporated, they're going to be locked out.
Man.
They would have to be subservient or an employee, if you will, right, because you can't dispense in Humboldt. I mean, everybody's growing it. But you can't necessarily do a large grow in LA, right? And so the two is a good mix. And so, but there's still farmers there in the mountains that, man, they don't want no regulators on their land. They don't want them federal. And so I think that's part of it still. A lot of people are scared. But again, people, corporations are people too. And so now, in essence, we're starting our own, in America, it's that way. And so we're starting a person that's separate from you. There's benefits that you're 18 again, you got great credit, you have a chance to build it, as well as it has its own EIN number, which means it can have its own, bank account or accounts, things like that, that will deal with cannabis. And so there's so many benefits. And again, I think because of misinformation, people have fear that, I want to stay on the black market. It's just not going to be as it was. And that's really the point I want to drive home. Once you get shut down, and when they gave you plenty of time, retail is about to open. If you're not in, you're out. And so once they come and say, all right, don't open a door again, you better not do it.
I want to, brother, you've really been so helpful tonight with stimulating and reinvigorating some of the conversations we've had over the years about cannabis.
Sure, and I've heard your show, man, and I really applaud you guys for
Thank
work.
you. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
And I think that there are two things that I want to go back to. I want to go back to this opioid situation, but I also want to talk about one of the reasons some young people, or even whoever at whatever age, might be afraid, also because of tax-related issues. So we'll come back to that. I want to know if social equity addresses that, some form of consultation or whatever. But the opioid thing. Let me tell you something that happened. I was down on the beach one day. I'm kicked back, trunk up, and smoking a bowl. I'm a bowler, not a roller. I really love bowls. If anybody's got a free bowl you can leave here tonight, I really would appreciate you. And I see this kid, like a younger dude than me. He wasn't no kid, grown man, pull up on this motorcycle. Wow. Hop off the bike, pop his helmet off, and pulls out a shorty, like one of those airplane bottles of brandy, and knocks it back. I'm like, wow, okay. You on the bike, man. You must be a bad mamma jamma. I didn't say anything to him. I just nodded. I see you. He nodded back, and a conversation developed just from that brief moment. And I swear I walked into a moment of miracle because he began to tell me his story for one reason. Turned out to be Iraqi. You know, I couldn't tell. Just like a light-skinned black man or a Mexican or...
He thought you was too.
Probably did. Not on camera, to the chagrin of all my lady fans out there. I'll be on camera soon. And we got to talking, and he began to tell me his story about his addiction and his opioid addiction. It was cannabis that was bringing him back. And I found that to be absolutely fascinating.
And he forgot one thing. Oh, and these shots, too.
Well, you know, as I think back, it was really a shot of like a little tiny little airplane bottle of Chablis. It wasn't brown. I was just, maybe I need a shot. Anyway, moving on. My point being
Come back,
that
Rich.
I'm back. My point being this opioid thing, you know, this opioid crisis, where there was a drug war, now there's a crisis, and the kid gloves that have been used to address this issue. I think America needs to get real serious and real with itself. Realize that, listen, man, let's get cannabis in the hands of these young people who are strung out on these opioids. This will help them make the transition. And I can attest to the fact there are some waxes out there that'll put you on your back.
Put you on the moon.
Right. Put you on the moon. There are extracts and derivatives and dabs will do you, man. It's like they got Brill cream out there when it comes to the cannabis. A little dab will do you. Yeah. So let's make that transition. And America needs to get real about it because, you know, the addiction is costing us more than, you know, what legalization nationwide could earn us.
I mean, it's such a slap in the face because all these years, everybody know. All the politicians know. They know. You know what I mean?
But they probably smoke it damn.
They know. They got family members who doing it. Who like, Dad, come on. You know, until the wife, you know what I'm saying, until the wife's getting involved and saying, hey, honey, you tripping. Okay, people are. That's when they're going to start changing these laws. But other than that, like, they know. They know. And it's just like the powers that be or the ones that are who just, you know, somebody just love to be evil and just don't want it right.
But I think a lot of people honestly, seriously don't know because the stigma has been so strong and it's like they're closed-minded. And you've met some people, like even, and I know in my family, they're not even open to the idea of it. And so when your mind is like that, it's hard. I know for a fact, I've seen it help get people off hard drugs. And like instead of a segue to harder drugs, a segue back to sanity.
But it's filtering out now. It's starting to filter out because the more we progress, it's starting to filter out more because the more we progress and are progressing, the people are going to come around because they're going to start meeting. They're going to start having a need because they're going to learn that so-and-so's mother them came back from cancer or whatever. Really? What is that stuff that they got? Let me try some of that. You know, I'm just speaking how the hood. You know. Let me try, because we're the hoods are really like behind on a lot of stuff. A lot. We still going to the white coats, the doctor coats. You know, we still running to those thinking that you're going to save my life, and they haven't saved no ones like that. Now, when it comes to the reconstructions and, you know, all that kind of stuff and broken bullet wounds and jaws, they the best. But when it comes to that real deal shit, we're not in the game for that. We're sorry, we're not in the game for that.
We got about 2.5 minutes before we get to the next break. And
the next guest.
And of course, we're going to transition and play a little bit more cannabis-infused music. Let's recap with this social equity program, because I think you read just a couple of items. Do they address the issue of taxation? Not taxation of the product itself, but how people can navigate their way through the, you know, that maze of taxation, how they're going to be taxed as a business owner. Is there any redress of that?
Yeah, that's a very good question. It speaks of social equity, but I think more so in the law. As many people know, previous to 2018, under Senate Bill 420, it has to be set up as a mutual benefit nonprofit, which is not necessarily the case. That's still a benefit, but like a lot of people don't know, all collectors aren't necessarily dispensaries, but all dispensaries are collective. So just because you have a group of 5 or more, you don't have to have a storefront, right? So there's still a way legally to have it for the collection of people. Now, but under the new law, though, now you can have LLCs. Now you can have S corps, and so with S corp and an LLC, or even a C corp that can be issued at IPO a couple of years down the line. And then, but
a la MedMen.
There you go. But with an S corp and the LLC, you still have that flow through taxation, so you don't have to pay taxes twice. Right. So you can either opt paying taxes on what you pay yourself, or you can pay taxes on what the corporation actually did. And so there's still, in fact, there's better benefits now for the individual looking to get into business and have some tax concerns.
It's just like any other business then.
Yeah.
If you're going to open a business, get a lawyer, get a tax accountant.
And it's funny because California was the only state being raided. And Obama told Jerry Brown, who crafted Senate Bill 420 when he was the state's attorney back in 96, he says, listen, you guys got to tighten up your laws. That Senate Bill 420 was written for hippies, by hippies, to benefit hippies. And everybody was growing. Who knows
Governor Brown
how much?
Or whatever his level was.
When he was Governor Brown the first time.
Right.
They did.
right, who also
His name was there
meditates
twice.
and
He was
medicates.
twice. He's governor twice.
Right, exactly. And so they did. And so they came up with this new law, which I'm not a big fan of, but is very regulatory. As you guys may know already, it's track and trace. So everything now has to be accounted for. And so it's good, I guess, if that money is going to make it, those tax dollars now, we're going to make it to those programs that desperately need it. Like you said, some of the programs is being defunded because folk are quitting cigarettes, which is great. Yep. And so that part I think is good. More accountability. But yeah, I mean, we have that transition now of Senate Bill 420 is gone. I don't think we'll ever forget it. We'll still celebrate 420, but there's a new Senate bill. Yeah.
421.
And so it's a lot more regulatory. But again, with the social equity program, there were 3 phases. Phase 1 primarily started in January of this year, and that was for the pre-ICOs. The guys has been in here for years and years, since 1997. Yeah. And then phase 2 came, and that was anything but retail. So you can do manufacturing, you can do transportation app. You can always get an application in for testing. That's ongoing. But any manufacturing, cultivation, etc. Now we're waiting on phase 3. Phase 3, again, the social equity is to meet that criteria. You can be low income in those hard hit areas, have a marijuana conviction, and again, have residency in one of those areas, either your business or your home. Now you can qualify with the social equity. And then there's 3 tiers. So I just mentioned 1 and 2. And then the last one is really interesting, where a larger business, a EMMD, existing marijuana business, will sponsor you, incubate your business for 3 years, give you time to build your brand, give you time to build your business, all being subsidized by a larger. Benefits him, now he's getting in first. Right? So he doesn't have to wait. And so there's a win-win combination there. And those are all social equity qualifications. And then phase 3 will be retail. Go ahead.
What are some of the tie-in benefits for a business that would be interested in sponsoring?
Right. They are, well, the biggest benefit is that for every one that they're going to approve for retail, and again, they're going to open it up, and once it's gone, it's gone. Now it's 2 to 1, so the ratio. So now, even though they wouldn't typically qualify, but because they're sponsoring a social equity applicant, now they qualify for that same ratio, 2 to 1. So every 1 non-social applicant approved, there will be 2 social equity applicants. But there has to be an agreement between the larger store, the EMD, that's sponsoring this applicant, and there's ownership that has to be involved, because again, they want to weed out those companies.
So it would behoove of anyone, a business that was looking to expand into a new marketplace would really want to take advantage of this.
To sponsor a social
they're going to
equity.
have a bigger step in their share of the marketplace.
That is correct. That is correct. It's a win-win.
That's great.
Paradigm. I think so. I think so.
Wow.
I think the Councilman Weston did an amazing job in creating, or in part creating this, and then also creating measuring.
Have you met Cat Packer?
I have not.
Have you heard of her?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, who hasn't it?
Yeah, in fact, I've been through. So I shouldn't say I haven't. You know, I've met her, say hello, but I don't know her personally. Just going to the workshops. Yeah, that they sponsor, getting people. Again, hey, here's the right information. This is sponsored through the city of Los Angeles, and it's on their website.
All right, that takes us to the next break. How about we do that? You know, you're listening to the Marijualogist, the world's only show that explores the entire impact of cannabis on LA, California, the globe. It's coming to your neighborhood soon.
For sure.
Worldwide legalization.
Don't be scared.
Don't be scared.
It's not that bad.
Don't be scared. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back on the Marijualogist. Ikkor the Wolf, your host, along with my special guest, Brian. We got my man Brian to the left, and we got Bob Waters, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be right back. Upcoming guest.